The air inside the ancient space city shimmered with energy, a faint hum that resonated in Kale's chest. The human-like figure, still connected to the glowing cables, looked at him and Aaron with a mixture of relief and urgency. Its eyes, though weak, held knowledge far beyond their comprehension. "You have come," it said softly. "The universe watches those who endure. You are chosen because you waited, because you never gave up. The promise you kept, it matters more than you know." Kale's heart raced. He had spent years waiting, learning, and dreaming of this moment. And now finally it was here. We'll help," he said firmly. "Tell us what we need to do." Aaron stepped closer, placing a steady hand on Kale's shoulder. "Together, Kale. We do this together." The figure's voice grew weaker, but the holographic symbols on the console pulsed brighter. "There is a threat approaching this sector, a force that does not understand patience, hope, or trust. It destroys civilizations without thought. You must stop it, or everything we built will be lost." Kyle felt a chill. "A force? Like what, ships? Aliens?" "It is beyond your imagination," the figure replied. "Energy, intelligence. A shadow that consumes all light. It moves across the galaxies, unstoppable without unity and courage. You, humans, may be the only ones able to endure and resist." Kale glanced at Aaron. "We can do this?" Aaron's eyes burned with determination. "We can. Humanity has survived because we endure, because we wait, because we fight when it matters most. This is what we were meant for." The chamber trembled as an alert flashed across the console. Outside, the expanse had grown darker, clouds of energy swirling unnaturally, warning of the approaching threat. Kale's stomach lurched, but he felt a calm resolve. The boy who had waited so long was gone. He was ready to face the universe. "Get the ship ready," Aaron commanded. "We leave now, Kale. This is what you trained for." Kale moved quickly, his hands steady as he prepared the Perseverance. Engines hummed, shields activated, and energy weapons powered up. Every system was checked, every detail secured. They were ready. The city's exit opened into the expanse, and the stars themselves seemed to stretch in anticipation. Shadows moved among the distant nebulae, dark and silent, almost alive. The enemy had arrived. Kyle gripped the controls, feeling the rush of energy. "Here they come," he said, voice steady. The first wave struck like lightning. Dark ships, unlike anything Kale had ever seen, surged toward them, firing beams of energy that warped the fabric of space around them. Kale's heart pounded, but his hands moved with precision, dodging, firing, and weaving through the attack. Aaron commanded the ship expertly, each maneuver precise, each shot calculated. "Stay calm, Kale, focus." Kale nodded, trusting Aaron completely. He realized then that humans had something no other beings in the expanse had: adaptability, courage, and the willingness to endure. Every challenge, every trial had prepared them for this moment. The battle raged across the expanse. Ships collided, energy beams streaked across the void, and the dark force pressed harder with each passing second. Kale felt the weight of the promise that had guided him through years of waiting. He would not fail. Suddenly, the main enemy ship emerged from the shadows. It was massive, black as void itself, with tendrils of energy curling outward like living shadows. Its presence was oppressive, but Kale felt no fear. He remembered the promise, the years of hope, and the strength he had gained from waiting. "We hit the core," Aaron said firmly. "That's the only way to stop it," Kale nodded. "I'm ready." The maneuver was dangerous. They flew toward the heart of the enemy, dodging tendrils of energy that threatened to crush them. Kale's hands were steady, his mind focused. The universe had tested him before, and he had endured. He would endure now. With a burst of speed, they reached the core. Kale and Aaron fired their energy weapons simultaneously, hitting the heart of the enemy ship. The explosion was immense, a blinding light that rippled through the expanse. For a moment, everything seemed frozen. Then slowly, the dark ships began to collapse, their energy dispersing into harmless streaks across the stars. The shadow that had threatened the galaxy was gone. Kyle exhaled deeply, relief and triumph flooding through him. "We did it," he whispered. Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder. "Yes, humanity endured. We fought, we rose to the challenge. And the promise, it has been fulfilled." The city in space glowed softly behind them, the beacon still pulsing with faint light. The human-like figure appeared again, its holographic form steady. "You have done what many could not. You have proven that endurance, patience, and courage are the greatest strengths. The universe will remember your deeds. The promise is fulfilled. Kyle felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling he had never known before. The years of waiting, the fear, the lessons, the training, they had all led to this. The boy who had waited on a hill in Lyris had become a human capable of facing the universe itself. Aaron smiled.
Kale, you kept the promise.
And now the universe will see what humans can do. Kale looked out at the stars, now calm and peaceful after the storm. We did it together, he said. I couldn't have done it without you. Aaron nodded. And you couldn't have done it without yourself. Waiting, hope, courage. These are the strengths that make humans strong. You have proven that. Kyle felt tears in his eyes, not of fear, but of triumph. The journey had been long, the challenges many, but in the end, the promise had guided him and he had endured. The city around them hummed softly, a reminder of the advanced civilization that had entrusted them with the beacon. Kale realized that the universe was full of wonders, dangers, and mysteries, but humans, if they endured and worked together, could face anything. As the Perseverance lifted from the ancient city, Kale felt a sense of freedom he had never known. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of possibilities, adventures, and discoveries yet to come. Aaron glanced at him, smiling. This is only the beginning. The universe is vast, Kale, and there is so much more to explore. Kale nodded, determination shining in his eyes. Then we go. Together. Always together. The ship surged forward, leaving the expanse behind, moving toward new stars, new challenges, and new promises. Kale looked at Aaron and then at the endless expanse of space. He was no longer the boy who had waited. He was a human ready to face the universe, strong, courageous, and bound by the promise that had guided him through years of uncertainty. And somewhere, across the stars, the universe itself seemed to acknowledge their endurance, their courage, and the strength of humanity. Kale smiled, feeling the weight of the promise lift like a gentle wind. The wait was over. The journey had begun. And the adventure, humanity's adventure, would continue, shining brighter than any star. The expanse stretched before Kale and Aaron like an endless ocean of stars, nebulae, and shadows. Unlike anything they had seen before, this region of space was alive with swirling colors, strange gravitational pulls, and energy currents that tugged at their ship. The air inside the Perseverance hummed with tension and anticipation. Aaron piloted the ship with steady hands, his eyes scanning the stars. This region, it's not mapped in any records I've studied, he said. We'll have to rely on instinct, observation, and caution. One mistake and we could be lost forever. Kale tightened his grip on the control panel. I'm ready. I've waited for this my whole life. Aaron glanced at him, a hint of pride in his eyes. Good, because waiting is over. The real journey begins now. As they navigated through the first sector of the expanse, strange phenomena appeared. Space seemed to bend around massive crystal formations, creating pockets of distorted light and gravity. Kale's stomach lurched as the ship drifted through these zones, the stars stretching and twisting around them. These crystals, Kale said, leaning forward. They're huge. And alive? Aaron nodded. Not alive in the way we understand life, but they're part of the expanse. Energy flows through them. They can affect ships, sensors, even minds if we're not careful. Kale shivered at the thought, but he pushed the fear aside. The promise, the wait, and the journey had all prepared him for this. He focused on the controls, following Aaron's instructions, maneuvering the Perseverance carefully through the glowing formations. Hours passed as they progressed. Suddenly the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared and red lights flashed across the cockpit. Kale's eyes widened. What now? He shouted. Aaron's face was serious. A trap. Someone or something is here, waiting for us. Outside, dark ships emerged from the shadows, sleek and fast, cutting through the expanse like predators. They attacked with precision, firing energy blasts that shook the hull of the Perseverance. Kale ducked as one blast exploded near the controls, sparks flying. Hold steady, Aaron shouted. We can't outrun them. We have to fight. Kyle worked the shields and energy cannons as best as he could. Every strike they fired required timing and focus, and every near miss tested his courage. Yet amidst the chaos, Kale realized something remarkable. He was not afraid. The boy who had waited was gone. In his place stood a human capable of facing the unknown with strength, intelligence, and determination. After a tense battle, the alien ships retreated, disappearing into the darkness from which they had come. The Perseverance was battered but still flying. Kale exhaled, his heart pounding. We made it, he whispered. Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder. For now. But this was only a warning. The expanse is full of tests, each more dangerous than the last. And what we are looking for, it's closer than we think. Cale nodded, determination burning in his chest. They pressed onward, deeper into the expanse, guided by the faint signal that had started this journey. Hours turned into days as they navigated through strange phenomena. Wormholes that twisted time, energy storms that could rip a ship apart, and fields of floating debris from long-forgotten battles. Then, finally, they arrived at a massive structure floating in the void, a city in space, built of shining metals and glowing with lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was enormous, clearly abandoned, but its design was far beyond anything humans had built. Cale's eyes widened. Is this a city? Aaron nodded. Yes, and it's the source of the signal. Whoever was here left it as a beacon, and now, we have to find out why. They docked carefully, stepping into the city's silent halls. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and metal. Strange glyphs glowed along the walls, casting shifting patterns of light across the floors. Cale marveled at the engineering, realizing that this place had been built to last through centuries, perhaps millennia. As they moved deeper, they discovered signs of life, but not alive in the traditional sense. Holographic figures flickered in and out of existence, showing scenes of a civilization long gone. They saw fleets traveling between worlds, experiments with energy, and glimpses of beings capable of manipulating space itself. This civilization, Cale whispered. It's incredible. And gone? Aaron's eyes were solemn. Something happened here. We don't know what yet, but the message, the beacon, it's meant for someone who can survive the challenges. That someone is us. Suddenly, a door slid open, revealing a chamber filled with energy crystals similar to those they had seen in the expanse. In the center of the room was a small console pulsing with light. The distress signal grew stronger here, almost alive, calling to them. Cale approached cautiously, touching the console. Holographic symbols surrounded him, forming images of stars, planets, and fleets. Then a figure appeared, human but older, marked by battles and time. The voice was faint, almost a whisper, but filled with authority. Who are you? Cale asked, heart racing. I am the guardian of knowledge, the figure said. I was left behind to protect the beacon. You, Cale, and your companion, Aaron, are chosen to carry the promise forward. The universe depends on those who endure, who wait, and who rise to challenges. Cale glanced at Aaron. Chosen for what? Aaron shook his head. To learn the truth, Cale. About this civilization, the dangers that lie ahead, and why the promise matters. This is bigger than both of us. The chamber pulsed with energy, and suddenly the floor shifted. A hidden stairway descended into darkness. Cale felt fear, but he also felt excitement. We go down? He asked. Aaron nodded. Yes, the answers are below. But stay close. We don't know what we'll find. They descended into the depths of the city, encountering strange mechanisms that responded to their presence. Some corridors shifted, creating puzzles that required intelligence, courage, and trust. Cale realized that the universe was testing them, not just their strength, but their minds and hearts. Finally, they reached the central chamber, where the signal source became clear. A human-like figure, young and frail, connected to the console by glowing cables. The figure's eyes opened as they approached. Cale, Aaron, the voice said weakly. You came. You kept the promise. Cale stepped forward, awe and relief mixing in his chest. It's okay. We're here now. You're safe. The figure smiled faintly. The promise. It is why I survived, waiting. Endurance, hope. These are the strengths of humanity. And now you must continue. The universe is not done testing us. But together, you will rise. Cale realized then the full meaning of what he had waited for all these years. The promise was not just about returning to a friend. It was about proving that humans could endure, adapt, and thrive in the face of the unknown. Aaron placed a hand on Cale's shoulder. We've come far, Cale, and the journey is only beginning. The challenges ahead will be greater, but we are ready. Cale nodded, feeling a surge of determination. The boy who had waited on a hill in Lyris was gone. In his place stood a human ready to face the universe, to protect, to explore, and to fulfill a promise that had transcended time and space. The expanse stretched endlessly before them, filled with danger, wonder, and opportunity, and Cale knew finally that he was ready to meet it all. The corridors of the drifting ship were silent except for the soft hum of distant energy. Cale stepped carefully, his eyes scanning the dimly lit hallways. Every wall, every panel seemed to carry a story, a hint of a civilization far older and more advanced than anything he had ever seen. He could feel the weight of the unknown pressing against him, but excitement and determination pushed him forward. Aaron walked beside him, his hands moving instinctively over the panels and controls, testing each system. "This ship," he murmured, "it's not like anything I've studied." The technology, it's far beyond human engineering. Someone or something has been out here for a long time. Cale's heart raced. Could the person sending the signal be here? Could this be where they've been? Aaron nodded slowly, his eyes still scanning. Possibly. But I've learned one thing over the years. Appearances can be deceiving. Be ready for anything. As they advanced, the ship's central chamber revealed itself. The room was large, circular, and filled with consoles that glowed faintly. Strange symbols flashed across the screens, but Aaron's experience allowed him to decipher their meaning. "These symbols? They are a map of the surrounding systems," he said. "It's tracking ships' energy readings, even life signs. Whoever was here was monitoring this part of space very closely." Cale stepped closer to a console, brushing his fingers over the smooth surface. Suddenly, a faint holographic projection flickered to life. A figure appeared, humanoid in shape but unlike any human Cale had ever seen. Its eyes glowed softly and its voice resonated through the chamber. "Who are you?" Kyle asked, unsure if the figure was alive or a memory left behind. The projection spoke slowly, carefully. "I am the guardian of this sector. I have waited for one who carries the promise of return." Cale glanced at Aaron, his mind racing. "The promise. It's him. It must be connected to the signal." Aaron nodded. "Yes, this ship was a beacon. Whoever left this, they knew someone would come. Someone who could endure the trials. That someone is you, Cale." Cale felt a mixture of pride and fear. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. "Me, but—" "I'm just a boy who waited." "You waited," Aaron said firmly. "And that waiting made you stronger than many who have faced this universe without hesitation. Waiting is not weakness, it is preparation. You are ready now." The holographic figure extended its glowing arm, pointing toward a smaller chamber at the edge of the central room. "Within lies what you seek," it said. "But it is protected. Only one with courage, patience, and strength of heart may enter." Cale took a deep breath. Every training, every lesson, every challenge of the past years had led him to this moment. He stepped forward, Aaron following closely. The chamber was filled with light that shimmered like liquid silver, flowing across the walls and floor. In the center, a console pulsed with energy. The distress signal Cale had followed seemed to emanate from this point. Aaron moved beside him, analyzing the system. "This is a life support and communication hub. Whoever was here, they were sending a message across the galaxy. It wasn't just a call for help, it was a warning." Cale's eyes widened. "A warning? About what?" Aaron shook his head. "I don't know yet, but it explains why this ship was abandoned. Something happened here, something dangerous. We must be careful." Cale approached the console, feeling the hum of energy beneath his fingers. As he touched it, holographic images erupted into the air, showing scenes of alien landscapes, massive fleets, and battles that spanned entire worlds. Cale's breath caught. The scale of what he was seeing was unimaginable. This is incredible," Cale whispered. "I never knew the universe was like this." Aaron's expression was grim, "And that's why we must be cautious. We are seeing only pieces of what happened here. The rest is still unknown." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently, throwing both of them off balance. Red lights flashed across the chamber, and the hum of energy turned into a low, threatening roar. Cale looked at Aaron, fear rising in his chest. "What is it?" he shouted. Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Someone or something is approaching. We are not alone." Outside the windows of the chamber, dark shapes moved through space, fast and silent. Alien ships, sleek and powerful, had detected their presence. Aaron moved quickly, overriding the ship's systems to prepare for defense. Cale helped as best as he could, following instructions, sealing doors, and activating shields. The first attack was sudden. Energy beams struck the hull, shaking the ship violently. Cale held on, feeling the raw force of the impact. Yet despite the fear, he remembered the promise that had guided him for years. He could not falter now. Aaron fired the ship's energy cannons, skillfully targeting the alien vessels. The battle was intense, each move requiring precision and speed. Kale realized that the universe was not only beautiful, it was dangerous, and only those who adapted could survive. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Finally, the alien ships retreated, disappearing into the dark void from which they had come. Kyle exhaled, relief washing over him. "We did it," he said, his voice shaking. Aaron put a hand on his shoulder. "This was only a warning. There will be more challenges ahead. But we survived together, and that is what matters." Kale nodded, feeling a surge of pride. He had waited, trained, and endured. Now he was proving that humans could face the universe and rise to challenges that seemed impossible. After the battle, the holographic projection flickered again. "The one who carries the promise has shown courage. The next step awaits beyond the expanse. There lies the truth you seek." Kale turned to Aaron. "The truth? About what?" Aaron smiled faintly, though his eyes were serious. "About who sent the message, what happened here, and why the universe itself seems to be watching us. We are on the path, Kale, and soon we will understand everything." The two of them prepared for the next phase of their journey. The ship's engines roared to life, and they moved out of the abandoned vessel, leaving its mysteries behind for now. Kale felt a thrill he had never known before. The thrill of discovery, of adventure, of stepping into the unknown with courage and hope. As they traveled deeper into the expanse, Kale looked at Aaron. "I waited for you," he said softly. Aaron's eyes met his. "And now you are ready. Waiting is over. The real journey begins." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, each one a promise, a challenge, and a mystery. Kyle realized that he was no longer the boy who had waited on a hill in a small village. He was a human ready to face the universe, to explore its wonders, and to fight for what he believed in. Together, they would uncover the secrets of the lost ship, confront the dangers that lurked in the shadows, and continue a journey that had begun long before they even understood the meaning of the promise. Kale smiled. The universe awaited, and he was ready. The day after Aaron's return, the village of Lyra seemed smaller than before. Kyle walked through the streets, noticing the familiar buildings, the cobblestone paths, and the people he had grown up with. But now everything felt tiny compared to the vastness of the universe that awaited beyond the mountains. Aaron had returned, yes, but he was different. His stories hinted at worlds Kale had only imagined, cities in the clouds, forests that glowed under alien moons, and skies filled with ships that moved faster than thought. Kale listened intently, trying to absorb every word, every lesson, and every memory Aaron shared. He realized that the boy who had left was now a man shaped by experience, yet still carrying the same promise that had kept Kale waiting for so long. "We can't stay here," Aaron said one evening, looking out at the horizon where the mountains met the stars. "There's too much for you to learn, Kale. Too much for both of us. The universe doesn't wait, and neither should we." Kale felt a mix of excitement and fear. The village had been his world for so long, a place of safety and simplicity. But Aaron's eyes held a fire that inspired him, reminding him of the promise that had been made years ago. "Then we leave?" Kale asked, his voice small but determined. "Yes," Aaron said with a smile. "We leave. And together we'll see everything I've seen and more." Preparations began immediately. Supplies were gathered, maps studied, and the Perseverance, Aaron's ship, readied for the journey. The ship was small but fast, sleek and silver with engines that hummed with quiet power. Kale marveled at the technology, realizing how far beyond the village their journey would take them. When the ship finally lifted from the village square, Kale felt a rush of exhilaration. The wind that had once carried the scent of the mountains now gave way to the vacuum of space. Lyra shrank below them, the mountains fading into tiny specks until the stars themselves filled the view. The first jump into open space was both terrifying and beautiful. Kale gripped the edge of his seat as the stars stretched into long streaks of light, the sensation like flying faster than thought. Aaron's hands moved with precision across the controls, navigating through asteroid belts and energy fields that would have destroyed lesser ships. "This is only the beginning," Aaron said, glancing at Kale. "Out here, the rules of the world you knew don't apply. Time moves differently, dangers are everywhere, and allies are rare. But the rewards are beyond imagination." Kyle nodded, swallowing the fear that threatened to overwhelm him. He had trained for this moment, in his own way, studying the stars, learning the instruments, and dreaming of adventure, but nothing could fully prepare him for the vastness of space. The first challenge came sooner than expected. A rogue asteroid belt appeared on the scanner, spinning chaotically through the void. Cale watched as massive rocks tumbled, their surfaces glowing faintly from the friction of space. Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Hold on, Cale. This will be tricky." Cale's heart raced as the ship darted between the asteroids, engines flaring, shields glowing against the impacts of tiny debris. He could feel the vibration of the ship, each near miss a reminder that space did not forgive mistakes. But Aaron's calm voice guided him, telling him where to look, where to move, and how to anticipate the unexpected. When they finally cleared the belt, Cale exhaled, relief and adrenaline mixing in his chest. "That was amazing," he said, a grin spreading across his face. "I never imagined space could feel like this." Aaron chuckled. "We're just getting started. Wait until you see the expanse." Days passed as they navigated through sectors of space that few humans had ever seen. Cale learned to read the stars like a map, understanding the currents of energy that flowed through galaxies. He learned to repair systems in the ship, to predict gravitational shifts, and to communicate with distant outposts. Every moment was a lesson, every experience a test. One evening, as they drifted near a gas giant with swirling green and blue clouds, the ship's sensors detected something unusual. A faint distress signal pulsed through the comm system, its pattern erratic but unmistakable. Cale's heart skipped a beat. "That's it," he whispered. "It has to be." Aaron nodded, his expression serious. "Yes. This is what I was searching for, Cale. And now, we follow it." The signal led them deeper into uncharted space, toward a region known only as the Shadow Nebula. The clouds of gas and dust twisted and shimmered with strange colors, hiding whatever lay within. Navigation was difficult, and the ship's instruments struggled to maintain a lock. Yet Aaron pressed forward and Cale followed, trusting the man who had once promised to return. Hours stretched into days, and the nebula's dangers grew. Lightning-like storms of energy crackled through the clouds, threatening to tear the ship apart. Strange gravitational anomalies pulled them off course, forcing constant corrections. Cale felt fear, doubt, and exhilaration all at once. He realized that this journey was not just about finding someone. It was about testing himself. About proving that the boy who had waited was ready to face the universe. Finally, through the haze of the nebula, a shape emerged. It was a ship, unlike any Cale had seen before. Large, damaged, and drifting silently as though it had been abandoned for years. Yet the signal was stronger here, almost alive. Cale's heart pounded. "That's it," he said. "That's the source." Aaron nodded. "Get ready. We're boarding." The approach was tense. The ship groaned and creaked as they docked, its surface scarred by collisions and cosmic storms. Inside, the corridors were dark, lit only by emergency lights flickering weakly. Strange markings lined the walls, hints of a civilization far beyond human knowledge. Cale's eyes widened at every detail, taking in the advanced yet worn technology. Then, in the center of the main chamber, a figure stirred. Aaron's face changed, relief, surprise, and recognition all at once. The figure rose slowly, but Cale could see enough to know it was human. And the voice? The voice was faint, but it was unmistakable. "Kyle," the figure whispered. Cale froze. Could it really be him? Aaron's expression softened. "Yes," he said quietly. "It's them. The wait is over." The figure stepped forward, revealing a young man, taller now, hardened by time and trials, but with eyes that mirrored the warmth Cale had remembered from Aaron's childhood. Cale's heart swelled. The boy who had promised to return had survived, had endured, and was waiting. But the reunion was only the beginning. Aaron's eyes flicked toward the distant corridors, alert, cautious. "There's more here than we expected," he said. "And we must be careful. The journey ahead is dangerous, but together, we can face it." Cale realized then that the universe was not just a place of stars and beauty. It was full of challenges, mysteries, and unknown dangers. But he was ready. He had waited, trained, and believed. And now, with Aaron and the other figure by his side, he would step into the unknown. The promise had led him this far, and the adventure was only beginning. The sun was beginning to set over the small village of Lyris. casting long orange shadows over the cobbled streets. In the heart of the village, a boy named Cale ran across the square, laughing as the wind tangled his dark hair. He was small for his age, but his eyes were bright and full of dreams that reached far beyond the mountains surrounding Lyris. Kyle loved stories. He loved listening to travelers who passed through the village, tales of distant lands, of strange creatures, and of the stars that stretched beyond the sky. But most of all, he loved his friend, Aaron. Aaron was older, taller, and stronger, but he had a gentle smile and a voice that made Cale feel safe. They had been inseparable since Cale could remember. "Cale, wait," Aaron called, his hand resting on the hilt of a small blade strapped to his belt. He had been practicing combat with the village guard, and Cale had tried to keep up, stumbling and tripping over his own feet. "I'm coming," Cale shouted back, grinning. He loved chasing Aaron, even though he knew he could never keep up. The chase always ended the same way. Aaron laughing, Cale panting, and the two of them collapsing under the shade of an old tree. That evening, they climbed the hill outside the village, a place where the grass was soft and the wind whispered secrets. From there, they could see the horizon stretch for miles. Beyond the mountains lay lands neither of them had ever seen. Lands filled with possibilities. "I'll go there one day," Kyle said, pointing toward the distant stars that peaked above the mountains as twilight fell. "I'll see everything. I'll see the worlds no one else in the village has seen." Aaron smiled, resting a hand on Cale's shoulder. "And I'll come with you," he said. "We'll see it all together, no matter what." Cale looked at him, his small heart swelling with hope. "Promise?" he asked, gripping Aaron's hand. Aaron nodded firmly. "I promise. No matter where I go. Wait for me, Cale, I'll return." Cale didn't know it then, but those words would become the anchor of his life. They would shape every choice, every path, and every dream he would ever chase. The next morning, the village buzzed with news of travelers arriving from distant lands. Ships and wagons rolled in, carrying goods, strange instruments, and people who smelled of other skies. Aaron's father, a trader of rare metals, had made a deal to take Aaron with him to one of the outer colonies for training. It was an opportunity of a lifetime, but it meant leaving Cale behind. Cale's stomach twisted as he watched Aaron pack his few belongings. You're really leaving?" he asked, trying not to cry. Aaron knelt beside him, taking Cale's small hands in his. "I have to. This is my path, Cale, but I'll come back for you. That's a promise." The boy wanted to believe him with all his heart. "I'll wait," he whispered. Aaron smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Kyle's face. "Good. Wait for me, Cale. I'll return." And with that, Aaron left, stepping into a ship that gleamed under the morning sun. Kyle watched until the ship vanished beyond the horizon, feeling the emptiness settle inside him. He did not know then how long the wait would be, or how much he would change while holding on to a promise. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Cale tried to keep himself busy, helping in the village, learning from the travelers and studying the maps of stars that fascinated him so much. He learned how to read the constellations, how to calculate distances, and how to build small gadgets that could do simple tasks. But every night, when the wind blew through the trees outside his window, he would whisper, "Wait for me, Aaron." "I'm waiting." Years passed. Cale grew taller, stronger, and wiser. His body changed, but so did his mind. The boy who had run through the village square was no longer there. In his place stood someone ready for challenges beyond imagination. He spent hours studying the stories of distant worlds, learning languages of the traders and dreaming of the day he would finally meet Aaron again. Yet life in the village remained simple. People came and went, seasons changed, and the world beyond the mountains seemed far away. Cale learned patience, but he never stopped hoping. The promise had become his compass, guiding him through the quiet years, keeping his heart anchored in faith. One evening, as Cale gazed at the horizon, a strange light appeared in the sky. It was not like the stars nor the common travelers' ships. It moved with purpose, cutting across the night with a soft, steady glow. Cale's heart leapt. Could it be? He ran to the hilltop, eyes wide with wonder and fear. The light grew closer, revealing itself as a small craft unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface shimmered with a metal that reflected the moonlight, and faint hums of energy filled the air. Cale's mind raced. Could it? Is it possible? The craft landed gently nearby, and a ramp extended toward the ground. Cale's feet trembled as he approached. From within the ship emerged a figure tall and confident, moving with a grace that spoke of experience and adventure. The face, Cale's breath caught. It was Aaron, but Aaron was no longer the boy he remembered. He had changed, marked by years of travel, training, and experiences far beyond the village. His eyes carried wisdom and strength, and yet beneath it all was the same warmth Cale had loved as a child. Cale ran, the words catching in his throat. "Aaron, you came back." Aaron knelt, pulling Cale into a strong embrace. "I promised," he said, his voice calm but filled with emotion. "I told you I'd return, and here I am." Cale's heart overflowed. All the waiting, all the patience, all the small victories of the years had led to this moment. He had waited, and now the promise had been fulfilled. But Aaron's eyes flickered toward the horizon, and Cale noticed something else, something hidden behind the joy of reunion. "Kyle," Aaron said softly, "there's so much I need to tell you. Things I've seen, things I've learned, and there's still a journey ahead, one we must take together." Kyle nodded, determination lighting his eyes. The boy who had waited was ready to become the companion Aaron had promised he would have. Together they would face whatever lay beyond the mountains, beyond the stars and beyond the worlds they had once only dreamed of. The promise had been kept, but the adventure was only beginning, and so, under the glow of the returning stars, Cale and Aaron stood side by side, ready to step into the unknown. Two friends bound by a promise, ready to face the universe together.